gonna believe it.
Sight of you here. We weren't even sure if the letters would reach you when we left them at the bank. It was an inheritance, I suppose. We thought you should ken what had become of us.
We'd never have dreamed you'd have used them to find your way back to us.
To coming home. To family.
Slanger.
Look, I think for them, just having their blood, their family with them is beautiful, and it's so nice to see Flory, come. She's such a great actress herself, and she's grown up so much from the last season to this one. But for her to finally have a home and a family, so I think for them is something that keeps in play over time. I think she has a lot of memories of growing up, and I think they're trying to teach her that that she now has somewhere safe to call home and a family. But I think there's still a lot of questions around it, and I think there is more to come. There's definitely perhaps there's definitely some questions and some memories as well. So I think later on in the season you'll see Jamie and Claire go back over it and try and work out more about how this actually happens and whether it's more than coincidence.
I think there's more to dig into in the fact that who these people are now, because of that. I think there's questions that are left unanswered after the first episode, and over the course of the season they may or may not be answered, but definitely there's some questions. And we didn't want to wait a long time before we revealed that particular answer, and it meant a lot for Jamie and Claire. Between seasons, Jamie and Claire went through a lot to get to that spot. And emotionally, they got, they went through a lot. So we wanted to show that part of it. We didn't think we needed to show the part where, they get there.
It was so fun. It was so great to have Lauren and Cesar back, and all of their children, but those are really sweet scenes. We had such a fun time, and those young actors are so incredible, and it was just really special. And I think it's nice to to have had the opportunity to play this character from somebody in their late 20s all the way up to this time where Claire's in her 60s. And the entirety of that, and get to sort of see her soften and see her, maybe not be sort of so bullish in every moment, and kind of that quieter, more reflective Claire was really lovely.
It's cool that we got them back because we can tell a story with them. It wasn't like a one-off, and that they only had enough time to do an episode, that they carved out enough time in their busy schedules to come back, and so we could tell a really good arc, an arcing story for them.
And good to have them come back. It's always nice when you get characters that you know and love that you haven't seen in a while, especially for the last season.
It's always nice to be together, but especially knowing that it's the final season meant that was really special, because we do all mean a lot to each other, and so that was lovely. I mean, speaking from Brianna's point of view, season 7, I had spent a lot of time just on my own with the kids, and even at the best of times, it feels like we're on 2 different shows with the different time periods. But I even then felt like I was on a different show from Richard. So yeah, it was very much just me and the children. So season 8 was nice to just have everyone back together, just because it felt like old times, and it's really rare on this show that we're all in one time period together. So that was a really, really lovely way to close out the whole thing.
It's so interesting. Yeah, you're right. And I think you used the word, it eats away at him. It's like an illness or a disease. And it's interesting because he's fought so many different kinds of enemies over the seasons, and this one is no exception in terms of the external forces that are against him. But also this one really is perhaps the one that really gets to him, and creates actually a rift for Jamie and Claire, because he dwells on it, and it manifests in him. I mean, so much so that he's hearing Frank's voice, and he begins to question the validity and the motivation behind the book, whether there's truth to it. Yeah, it's really hard for him because they've had times before in history where they've been told their fate, and they've fought against that or tried to find a way around it. But I think they know now that it's really hard to dodge fate. So I think for him, this is a real test of his mental health.
It was definitely, we knew we were going to do it, and we had hoped to get Tobias physically, but he was very busy and his schedule was full. But he graciously was able to do some voice work for us. And I think that's a great question. In that, is it Blackjack that he's hearing, because he looks like Blackjack, so Jamie knows what Blackjack's voice sounds like, and they're close. So I think that's what we went with, and it does haunt him that he's looking at this person that tortured him, and Claire could have possibly married this person, but Claire doesn't see it that way. I don't think Claire looks at Frank's and thinks Blackjack. That's why in the moment she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what? That didn't register to her. And I think Jamie recognizes that too, that's why it's not a huge big deal. What Jamie really wants to know is Frank, do you trust him enough to know that this book is fact, or is this book planted to hurt us, to unwind our love, or somehow get between us, or whatever they were thinking? And Claire's just as torn about that too. Is he that devious, or is he just a great historian? And I think that's what haunts them for a few episodes.
Well, so we love the idea of, back in season 1, Claire told Blackjack the date of his death, and the idea that Frank, or Blackjack in his mind, is telling him the date of his death, is also kind of another full circle moment.
I don't know, knowledge is sort of power, isn't it? And there's quite a lot of sort of foresight in that book. How much of it they know, I'm still unclear. I feel like Bree knows more about what's in that book than Roger does, for some reason. But I suppose it's in the hope of altering things to come, or just to have as much information on what's to come as possible, really.
Yeah, I think if you've decided that you can't change the future, then you can at least try. So I think for them to have been sat on that, and obviously it kind of proves that it was Frank's life's work by the end of it to write this book and to forewarn Jamie and Claire. So I think for them to not pass on that message would feel like a betrayal in a way. But it definitely does bring to question, I think for Brianna and Roger, is knowledge poison or power? And I think, as I said, if you can't change the future, then at least give people the tools to try. So although it causes chaos, I think had they done nothing, they wouldn't be able to live with themselves.
Also, I think there's something to be said about, even if they feel it, because there is this sort of running theme that history can't be changed within the show. But there is also something to be said about that information putting them in a position where they can at least prepare for what's coming, even if they can't change it. So that's, there's an advantage to that as well, I suppose.
I love callbacks. I mean, I think for me as a television viewer, when something comes back that you didn't, you're like, oh wow, yes, they remembered, or what a great. I think it gives you kind of a comfortable feeling that you've, a little payment, a payment on your investment in the time and effort that you put into the show, is that, hey, the audience usually remembers, and that's why. But it was important that we did that callback.